I've spent a lot of time researching this question, and as a pilot that just starting up to learn how to fly, I think it's important. Whether you should fly a high-wing aircraft like Cessnas, and I'm in particularly interested in 172, or you really want to fly a low-wing airplane like Piper PA. And today I'm actually going to do 2 flights in a row. One I'm going to do in 172, in Cessna 172, and the second one will go in Piper Aero PA 28. So I'm gonna test those babies out. So far I really like the low wing and the way it handles, but Cessna 172 is a little more roomier, and we'll see how that works out. And I'm a tall guy, so you gotta have a big airplane or wide roomy airplane for me to fly into, go into. And yeah, it's exciting. So I did talk to another pilot yesterday, and he said you actually have to learn in a tail wheel aircraft, which actually could be a Citabria or something else that that really allows you to learn how to flare and land using the back wheel, which, you know, what puts your airplane like this, because you have a small tail wheel at the bottom. So I'll ask my CFI to see if you know which one is better, and I'll try to put add a little bit more context around this. So I'm super excited. Stay tuned and let's see what's up.
Sort of rituals here. As soon as I come up to my seat, I set the seat to the height I know.
My goal was to test 2 aircraft, the low-wing aircraft Piper Archer 2 and Cessna 172, the most common airplane to train in. My goal was to see if low-wing airplane is a little better for training and just for me personally to train in versus Cessna, and I had experiences in Cessna before, and I just wanted to compare and see if the low-wing aircraft makes any difference. So what I was able to compare, the pre-flight, the cabin size, the the steering on the ground, takeoff, handling. We did a little bit of stalls and landings, obviously. I did compare those 2 airplanes together at the same day, so we flew Piper and then we flew Cessna, and that really helped me to compare both airplanes and really get my opinion about both of them. So when it really comes down to selecting an airplane to train in, it doesn't make any difference, honestly. So I've learned that you really should train in the airplane that is available to you most of the time, and what's available, then that's the best airplane you'd have. Whatever your school has will be the good airplane to train in. For me, I've tried Piper Archer, and I was really hoping that it would be a wider airplane and I can sit in more comfortably. Ended up that to be not true, so Cessna ended up being a roomier airplane for me, and I'm 6'1", and in Piper you really don't get a lot of room for a tall guy like me, and I have long legs, which made it difficult to adjust my seat. So really, when we took off in Piper, it was a very good experience. I really liked the handling and just the stability of the airplane and the way it handles, and I fall in love with it, actually. Really liked it, the way it handled, and all the maneuvers, and the cabin size I didn't like. The cabin size is definitely smaller than in Cessna, and for me, I kind of felt a little cramped in, and really wanted to have a little more room for myself. So the big difference I felt and the beginning is ground steering. So Cessna and Piper, they have different mechanisms for steering on the ground, and I like Piper's more. It's more responsive and kind of intuitive. Cessna has a huge delay because they have a springs mechanism, and didn't really like it, but my CFI said that I'll get used to it. So when we took off, and taking off is for me is better than Piper, and honestly, just flying is better than Piper. It's more stable platform for me. I mean, just to compare those two, it's a little bit, not a lot, not by much, but it's a little bit more stable, and I really like the way the plane, I was able to control the airplane, and especially during turns, you can feel that it's a little bit more stable. Stalls are pretty normal, nothing too exciting. You just stall the airplane, make sure you don't overuse your rudder, or you use it properly so you don't tip to the left or to the right, and really not a lot of difference there. As far as landings go, really the same feeling. Honestly, it's the same mentality as Cessna versus Piper. Maybe a little bit more flair you get off of one or the other. I didn't really notice the difference. Pretty similar as far as learning in which to fly. It's pretty much the same. Overall, I would say that to me, and that's my personal preference, Piper versus Cessna felt like Cessna would be an American SUV, and a Piper would be like a German sedan, and that's the way I felt. Comparing to cars, overall, really not a huge difference. The first reaction when I came out of Cessna, and I flew Cessna right after Piper, was that Cessna flies like an elephant, and I told it to my CFI, and he laughed, and he said, well, I actually own Piper Archer, so I enjoy flying Pipers a little more. So what I ended up doing is actually I ended up selecting flying in Cessna, because the flight club that had Cessnas, they had about 15 of them, and the other club that had Pipers, they only had 2 of them. And if you really want to learn to fly in a short period of time, like I'm trying to do, you want the airplane to be available. And if one breaks down or one goes to service, a maintenance, then you don't really have a lot of choice. So I ended up going with Cessna because there'll be more selection for me to choose and book my airplane when I'm flying, and that was the decision maker for me. So not a lot of difference as a student pilot, really. I really liked the Piper and the way it handles and up in the air. Definitely Cessna 172 is roomier airplane, and when I tried test Cessna 182, that was my ideal size of a single engine cabin, at least so far. So as much as I enjoy flying Cessna as well, but not as much as Piper. But I think it's a good platform to learn. And since it's available everywhere. The other thing that was a decision-making factor for me is that you can learn, you can rent Cessna in pretty much any airport around the world, and they're very widely available. And it is easier to train in Cessna, and then if you go down to Los Angeles, or you go to New York, you can pick up Cessna in any local airport and fly out and have fun, versus Pipers, they're harder to find and come by. So that was my decision-making factor. I picked up Cessna 172, and I'll probably finish up my PPL in Cessna, and then we'll see what it's going to take me to.